Have you ever wondered why some homes always seem effortlessly tidy? Not because the people who live there have more time, not because they possess iron discipline, and not because they enjoy spending all day holding a mop and broom. Many people look at their messy homes and quickly come to one conclusion: I'm just too lazy. So they try to fix it. They create cleaning schedules, they promise themselves they'll be more disciplined, they buy more storage boxes, more shelves, more drawers. But just a few days later, everything slips right back to the way it was. Items begin appearing everywhere again. The kitchen counter fills up. The floor once again holds those things that were just temporarily placed there. What surprises many people is this: the real problem isn't cleaning. The real problem is the way your life is designed. Most homes operate in a familiar cycle. You wait until things become messy, then you clean. You wait until things get dirty, then you wipe. You wait until stuff piles up, then you start organizing. And because of that, you constantly feel like you're chasing chaos. You clean today, tomorrow it's messy again. You wipe everything down in the morning, by evening it already feels dirty. It's not because you lack discipline, it's because the system of your daily life forces you to constantly deal with the aftermath. Meanwhile, many families in Japan take a completely different approach. They don't try to become people who clean more often. Instead, they design their living environment so that clutter has very little chance to appear in the first place. Their changes are usually very small: a more thoughtful place to put things, a habit that takes only a few seconds, a simple rule whenever something new enters the house. But when these small things come together, the home begins to maintain its tidiness almost naturally. In this video, you'll discover 11 cleaning habits commonly practiced in Japan, small changes with the power to transform a home from a place that constantly needs cleaning into a space that naturally stays orderly and peaceful. If you find this video helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the upcoming content.
11 Cleaning Habits of the Japanese. 1. Cleaning as a ritual to renew your energy. Your living space is more than just a place to stay. It reflects your mental state every single day. When a room is cluttered, the mind often becomes heavy, tangled, and sluggish. The Japanese understand this deeply. That's why they don't see cleaning as a tiring obligation that must simply be finished. Instead, they treat it as a ritual that refreshes their life energy. In many places, people only start cleaning when things have already become chaotic. They wait until the weekend, or until they can no longer tolerate the mess, and then they attempt one big, exhausting cleanup. This approach turns cleaning into a heavy task. The longer you postpone it, the larger the mess becomes, and when you finally begin, it feels overwhelming. The Japanese choose a different approach. They turn cleaning into a small but meaningful part of their daily rhythm. In the morning, they open the windows to let fresh air and sunlight flow into the home. They quickly wipe corners that often go unnoticed. They organize a small drawer. They remove a few items that no longer needed. These actions may seem tiny, but they create a powerful ripple effect. The space begins to feel more open. Light moves more easily through the room. Clean surfaces allow your eyes and your brain to rest. A tidy home helps the mind feel calmer and more focused. This isn't some vague philosophy, it's a very real psychological response. In environmental psychology, physical clutter often represents postponed decisions. A stack of old bills on the table reminds you of something you haven't dealt with. A pile of messy paperwork creates a constant sense that something is unfinished. Items you no longer use but continue to keep occupy space in both your home and your mind. Every unnecessary object acts like a quiet reminder. It forces the brain to spend energy processing information that no longer matters. Over time, small bits of disorder accumulate into a vague sense of heaviness that you can't quite explain. So, when the Japanese clean, they aren't just tidying a room, They are freeing energy for themselves. An old bill is discarded, a drawer is reorganized, an item that no longer serves a purpose leaves the home. Each of these small actions makes the space feel lighter, and the mind feels lighter too.
2. The principle of respecting space. Your living space always reflects how you treat your own life. In many Japanese households, cleaning is not rushed or careless. It is done slowly, mindfully, and with respect for the environment around them. Not because they have more free time, but because they understand that how you treat small things each day gradually shapes the quality of your life. You can easily recognize a common habit in many homes. Objects are tossed onto tables for convenience. Drawers are slammed shut. Jackets are thrown onto chairs after a long day. These small actions happen repeatedly and seem harmless, but when repeated often enough, they create a living environment that lacks order and care. The Japanese approach this very differently. They place objects down instead of throwing them. They close drawers gently. They spend a few seconds straightening an item so it sits neatly in place. These small gestures not only keep the home tidier, but also create a calm atmosphere in the living space. Every small action sends a signal to your brain. When you throw things around, you communicate that everything can be handled carelessly. When you place something down with intention, you build a habit of attention and control. Over time, the difference between these two approaches becomes enormous. A home that is treated gently maintains its order longer. Items are less likely to get lost. The space becomes less chaotic. More importantly, you begin to feel that you are in control of your environment. Many people try to change their lives through big plans. They aim to become more disciplined, work harder, or organize everything perfectly. But lasting change often begins with very small actions. Carefully placing an object down, gently closing a drawer, pushing a chair back into place after using it. These simple actions form the subtle habit that the Japanese consistently practice. Respecting your living space also means respecting the rhythm of your own life. When your home is cared for with attention, you naturally begin to care better for your time, energy, and decisions. The space becomes quieter, tidier, and easier to breathe in. And in such an environment, your mind becomes more stable and focused as well. An orderly life does not begin with dramatic changes. It begins with how you treat the small objects inside your home. 3. The 10-second rule. A tidy home is rarely created by hours of deep cleaning. It is built through small actions repeated every day. The Japanese understand this principle well and apply it through the spirit of kaizen, continuous small improvements. Instead of waiting until everything becomes messy before cleaning, they handle small tasks the moment they appear. An action that takes just a few seconds can prevent dozens of minutes of cleaning later. After brushing your teeth, you quickly wipe the sink. After eating, you rinse the plate immediately. When you get out of bed, you straighten the blanket. These actions happen quickly and barely interrupt your daily rhythm. The key point is that each task takes about 10 seconds. 10 seconds doesn't feel heavy. Your brain doesn't interpret it as a big job worth postponing. You simply finish it in the moment and move on with your day. Many homes become messy not because people lack time to clean. The real reason is the accumulation of small tasks that were ignored. An unwashed cup, a jacket not hung up, a pillow left out of place. Each one only takes seconds to fix, but when dozens of them pile up, the situation begins to feel overwhelming. At that point, cleaning no longer feels like a light activity. It becomes a large weekend project. You spend hours dealing with things that should have taken just a few seconds during the week. The exhaustion comes not from difficulty, but from the buildup of neglected small tasks. The Japanese 10-second rule breaks that cycle. You handle things while they are still small. There are no towering piles of dishes, no clothes scattered across the room, no sense that the house is slowly slipping out of control. You hardly need major cleaning sessions anymore. The home stays naturally tidy because everything is handled early. Chaos in life usually accumulates little by little. A messy corner today can become an entire cluttered room in a few weeks. But the opposite is also true. Calm and order accumulate in the same way. Just a few seconds of attention each day quietly builds a living environment that feels lighter, clearer, and easier to breathe in. 4. The one in, one out rule. A home rarely becomes cluttered overnight. It happens gradually as new items continue to enter while nothing ever leaves. Closets slowly fill up. Kitchen cabinets grow tighter after every shopping trip. Small items that seem harmless slowly take over the living space. The Japanese address this problem with a very simple yet powerful principle. Whenever a new item enters the home, an old one leaves. This principle is often called the one in, one out rule. It's not a strict rule, but a mindset that helps keep your living space balanced. When you buy a new shirt, you choose an old one to donate or discard. When a new mug enters the kitchen, a rarely used mug leaves the shelf. This small action keeps the total number of items in your home stable. The real strength of the rule isn't just in removing things. Its true value lies in how it changes the way you think before buying something new. When you know an old item must go, you begin to think more carefully. You ask yourself whether the new item is truly necessary or just a momentary impulse. Many people shop emotionally. A beautiful shirt in a store window, a cute mug on a shelf, a small item on sale. These quick decisions cause the number of items in the home to grow faster than you realize. The space becomes tighter and cleaning becomes harder. The one in, one out rule stops this cycle at the source. You no longer accumulate items unconsciously. Every new object entering your home comes with a clear decision. Gradually, you begin to prioritize quality over quantity. You keep what truly serves you and gently let go of what no longer does. Closets no longer feel overcrowded. Kitchen shelves look cleaner. Drawers become easier to use. You don't need to spend hours reorganizing because the number of items never grows out of control. More importantly, the space feels lighter. Everything has its place. Nothing overwhelms your eyes or your mind. The Japanese believe that a balanced home supports a balanced life. When the flow of objects in your home is controlled, you're not just maintaining tidiness, you're also maintaining clarity in how you live. 5. Cleaning according to the natural movement of your body. A tidy home doesn't depend only on how often you clean. It also depends on how the space is organized to match the way you naturally move throughout the day. The Japanese pay close attention to this. Instead of placing objects randomly or arranging them purely for decoration, they observe how they actually move around the house and organize everything around those movements. Imagine you come home after a long day. If the coat rack is far away, your jacket will probably end up on a chair. If your keys don't have a fixed place near the door, they will end up wherever your hand happens to drop them. These actions happen almost automatically, and those automatic habits are what create clutter. The Japanese solve this with a simple but clever idea. Place items exactly where you naturally use them. Coat hooks are near the entrance, a small tray for keys sits beside the door, cleaning cloths are stored near the sink. These adjustments may seem minor, but they make keeping the house tidy almost automatic. When everything is in the right place, your body doesn't need to think. You hang your coat immediately because the hook is right in front of you. You drop your keys into the tray because it sits exactly where your hand naturally moves. Order happens naturally, without effort. On the other hand, when an item is stored far from where it's used, the brain chooses the easiest option. You place it somewhere temporary with the intention of putting it away later, but later often never arrives. After a few days, temporary items begin to pile up. Clutter forms simply because movement within the space isn't convenient. Designing a space around your body's natural flow removes a huge amount of friction from daily life. You move less, you spend less time searching for things, and you're less likely to leave items lying around because everything already has a logical place. Everything sits exactly where it should. You don't need to constantly think about cleaning because order is built into the way you live. A good living space should support people, not exhaust them. When objects are placed correctly, your home begins to work with you instead of against you. And when that happens, keeping things tidy becomes far easier. Number 6. The quick wipe before bed habit. At the end of a long day, the body usually wants nothing more than rest. Yet in many Japanese households, before turning off the lights and going to sleep, people spend a few minutes on a simple habit, a short cleaning round to close the day in an orderly state. This habit doesn't take hours. It usually lasts just 2 to 5 minutes. You quickly wipe the kitchen counter after cooking. You straighten the chair you pulled out earlier in the evening. You return a few small items on the table to their proper places. These tiny actions help the home return to a neat and balanced state before the next day begins. The key idea behind this habit is mindset. The goal is not to make the house perfectly clean. There's no need to scrub every corner or reorganize the entire room. The goal is simply to bring the space back to a stable condition, everything in its place, the traces of a busy day quickly cleared away. Many people skip this step because they assume they can clean tomorrow. But when clutter is left overnight, it becomes the first thing you see in the morning. A crowded table, dishes still in the sink, chairs left out of place. These small sights create a subtle feeling of heaviness as the day begins. But when you spend just a few minutes tidying before bed, you prepare a better morning for yourself. The house becomes quiet and orderly. The space feels reset. When you wake up, sunlight enters a clean room. The kitchen counter is clear. There is no leftover chaos from yesterday. This difference directly affects your mood. A tidy environment allows your mind to start the day more gently. Instead of feeling like you must handle unfinished tasks, you begin the day with a sense of clarity and control. For the Japanese, this habit is a way to close the previous day, like closing a book after finishing the final chapter. Everything is set back in place, ready for a new beginning. Just a few minutes at night can shape the entire feeling of the next day. 7. Clean as you go. A messy kitchen rarely appears all at once. It usually begins with small things left behind: a drop of water on the counter, an unwashed knife, a corner of the stove still slick with oil after cooking. When these tiny details aren't handled right away, they quickly accumulate into a mess that makes you reluctant to even begin cleaning. The Japanese avoid this with a very simple habit: clean immediately after using something. In many Japanese homes, every action is completed fully. When cooking is finished, the stovetop is wiped down right away. After cutting ingredients, the knife is rinsed before it's set down. If water spills on the counter, a cloth appears instantly to wipe it away. These actions happen quickly, almost like a natural reflex. There's no need for a cleaning plan or mental preparation. The power of this habit lies in timing. A stain that has just appeared is always far easier to deal with than one that is dried or hardened. A fresh drop of water takes one quick swipe to remove. Leave it for a few hours and it may turn into a stain. A splash of oil on the stove can be wiped away with a paper towel immediately. But if it sits too long, it may require strong cleaners and much more effort. Many people delay cleaning because they believe doing everything at once will save time. In reality, the opposite is true. When you let things pile up, the task becomes bigger, heavier, and harder to start. Procrastination turns small tasks into large burdens. But when you clean right after using something, it hardly feels like cleaning at all. You're simply completing a brief action before moving on to the next. The kitchen stays tidy while you cook. The dining table is always clean after each meal. Your living space never has the chance to accumulate chaos. Over time, this habit creates a clear shift. You no longer face long cleaning sessions. There's no greasy kitchen waiting for you, no sink overflowing with dishes. Everything is handled while it's still small. In Japanese thinking, a clean space is maintained not by long hours of effort, but by small actions done at the right moment. You don't need hours to keep your home tidy. Just a few seconds of attention after each use allows order to maintain itself. And when the space around you stays clean, your mind naturally becomes lighter and clearer as well.
8. The empty surface rule. A room can technically be tidy and still make you feel tired just by looking at it. The problem isn't always how many things you own, it's how many items are sitting on every visible surface. A desk piled with papers, a kitchen counter crowded with bottles and containers, shelves filled with objects that aren't truly necessary. Your eyes are forced to process too many details at once, and your brain spends energy trying to absorb all that visual information. In Japanese spatial philosophy, an empty surface isn't meaningless space. It's a resting place for the mind. When the space in front of you feels open and uncluttered, your brain can focus on what matters instead of being pulled in 10 different directions. That's why many Japanese homes follow a simple rule. Each surface should hold only a few truly essential items. A desk might contain just a laptop, a notebook, and a lamp. A kitchen counter keeps only what you use daily. Everything else is placed in cabinets or drawers where it no longer competes for your attention. This small change makes a surprisingly big difference. When you walk into a room and see a clear table, your eyes immediately relax. There are no competing details, no visual noise. The room feels calmer, even though its size hasn't changed by a single square foot. The empty surface rule also makes cleaning dramatically easier. When a kitchen counter isn't crowded with objects, wiping it takes only seconds. When a desk isn't buried under papers, organizing becomes effortless. Fewer items on surfaces mean fewer tasks every day. Many people try to organize their homes by buying more storage boxes or shelves, but sometimes the most powerful change is much simpler. Give your space the empty areas it needs.
9. The invisible cost of "I'll do it later." A home rarely becomes messy because of one big event. Disorder usually begins with a familiar phrase that appears quietly in your mind. "I'll do it later." A plate goes into the sink with the thought that you'll wash it in a few minutes. A jacket is placed on a chair with the intention of hanging it later. A small object is left on the table because you plan to put it away soon. In that moment, everything seems perfectly normal. One plate in the sink isn't a problem. But the next day, there are a few more. Then a few more after that. As the number grows, something inside you begins to change. 5 dishes in the sink feel mildly uncomfortable. 10 dishes make you hesitate to start washing them. And when you see a whole pile, your brain immediately interprets it as a big task that will require time and energy. The initial delay has quietly transformed a tiny action into a burden. This is the invisible cost of "I'll do it later." Each time you postpone a small task, you move it into the future in a heavier form. Something that should have taken 30 seconds may now require 30 minutes, and it brings a small wave of stress every time you see it. Japanese households pay close attention to these small moments of delay. They don't try to become perfectly disciplined people. Instead, they minimize tiny postponements throughout the day. A plate is washed right after eating. An item is returned to its place immediately after use. These actions happen so quickly that you barely notice you're cleaning. The benefit isn't just a tidier home, it keeps your environment from ever reaching the threshold of chaos. There are no towering piles of tasks that make you reluctant to begin. No cluttered corners that overwhelm your mind. When things are handled from the beginning, your mood remains steadier too. You're no longer constantly reminded of unfinished tasks. The weight of accumulated procrastination simply disappears. 10. Keep the entryway clean. In many Japanese homes, one area receives special attention: the entryway, known as the genkan. This space is more than just a place to step inside. It's a transition point between two different worlds. Outside lies the busy rhythm of life.
noise, work, responsibilities, and pressure. Inside is where you rest, recover, and reconnect with a sense of calm. When you step into the Genkan, you remove your shoes and place them neatly. The action may seem simple, but it carries a deeper meaning. You're leaving behind the dust, haste, and tension of the outside world right at the threshold. From that moment forward, you enter a different environment, one that moves slower and feels quieter. For this reason, Japanese homes keep the entryway carefully organized. There are no scattered items, no unnecessary objects taking up space. Shoes are aligned neatly. The floor is wiped regularly. Everything about the space creates a feeling of order from the very first step. Many homes overlook this area. Shoes are scattered around, bags are dropped near the door, random items slowly accumulate over time. These small details create clutter the moment you walk inside. Instead of relaxation, you unconsciously carry the chaos of the outside world into your living space. The Japanese see the entryway as a clear psychological boundary. When it's clean and orderly, each return home feels like a fresh beginning. Your eyes first encounter calm, your body senses the shift from the outside world to a quieter space. Just a few minutes each day, aligning shoes, wiping the floor, keeping the area clear, can make a huge difference in how you feel when you return home. Every time you cross the doorway, you're not just entering a house, you're stepping into a calmer state of mind.
11. Your trash reflects your awareness. In many Japanese homes, handling trash isn't treated as a small, forgettable task. It's considered an important part of mindful living. Waste is carefully sorted. Plastic, paper, metal, organic materials, each separated before being thrown away. The process may take a few extra minutes, but those minutes quietly transform the way you see the objects around you. When you must rinse a yogurt cup before discarding it, when you separate plastic packaging from paper, when you classify each material one by one, you begin to see the true life cycle of everything you buy. An object doesn't disappear once you finish using it. It continues to exist in another form, eventually becoming waste that someone must deal with. This awareness naturally makes you pause before buying something new. A convenience meal means another layer of plastic packaging. A disposable product quickly turns into something you must sort and throw away. Every purchase becomes tied to a responsibility that follows. In many places, trash is simply gathered into a single large bag. You rarely see the materials individually or recognize how much waste you produce each day. Because of this, it's easy to shop out of habit or impulse. But when you sort everything by hand, you begin to truly see what you consume. Over time, this creates a natural shift. You buy less but choose more carefully. You prefer durable products with less packaging, items that are genuinely necessary. Not because someone tells you to live minimally, but because you've clearly seen the consequences of excessive consumption. Sorting trash, therefore, is more than a sanitation rule. It becomes a small lesson repeated every day. Your trash reflects the level of attention you bring to your life. When you start paying attention to what you throw away, you also begin paying closer attention to what you bring into your home.
Peace cannot be bought. Many people spend enormous amounts of time and money searching for a sense of peace inside their homes. They believe the solution lies in buying a larger house, purchasing more storage containers, or investing in new organizing systems. At first, these changes may feel refreshing. The space is bigger. Items fit neatly inside attractive boxes. But after some time, the familiar clutter quietly returns. The reason isn't the size of your home or the number of organizers you own. Peace in your living space cannot be purchased. It comes from something far deeper, the alignment between your daily habits and the way your environment is designed. When your surroundings don't support your behavior, everything becomes harder.
A coat hook placed too far from the door encourages you to drop your jacket on a chair instead. A drawer located in an inconvenient place makes you less likely to put things back. Small details like these force you to exert extra effort just to keep things tidy. Over time, maintaining order becomes a constant battle. You have to remind yourself repeatedly. You spend more time cleaning, and fatigue slowly sets in. But when a space is designed around the way you actually live, everything becomes lighter. Objects are located exactly where you need them. Orderly actions happen almost automatically. You hang your coat the moment you enter because the hook is right in front of you. You place your keys in a tray because it sits precisely where your hand naturally drops them. In an environment like this, you don't need to force yourself to be more disciplined. The space itself quietly supports the right behavior. Keeping your home tidy stops feeling like a large task. It becomes a natural rhythm of everyday life. True peace in a home doesn't come from having more things. It comes when everything in your space works in harmony with your habits. When that happens, life becomes simpler. You're no longer constantly repairing chaos. You simply live, and order quietly maintains itself. A truly peaceful home isn't a perfect place. It's a place where everything flows easily, gently, and naturally with the way you live.